Hola! Here is a slideshow about the preterite tense. That's el pretérito, which is one of the past tenses of Spanish. And anytime you're using the preterite tense in Spanish, we're talking about completed actions. For example, I walked, he ate, they sang, we studied, you wrote, my friend ran. All of that is actions that are completed in the past. So that is how we use el pretérito in Spanish. Here is our verb ending charts. Whenever you conjugate a regular verb in the preterite tense, you will always take off the AR, ER, or IR ending and add the ending that matches the subject. So over on the left here, we see our ER and IR endings. The nice thing about the preterite tense is that ER and IR verbs have the same endings. Over on the right, we see our AR endings. So let me just talk through these real quick. If we are in yo form, ER and IR verbs end in E, that's I with an accent mark, while AR verbs end in A, which is E with an accent mark. So that's yo form, I is the subject. If it is tu or vos form, so the subject of the verb is tu or vos, which means you, informal. If it is ER or IR verbs, it should end in iste. If it is an AR verb, it should end in aste. Now, if we look at él, ella, ella form, then that means he, she. Ella would be non-binary. It could also be any singular subject. Then usted is the formal form of you. So if your subject is él, ella, usted, or any other singular subject that you're referring to, then if it's an ER verb, our ending would be io, I, O with an accent mark. Or if it is an AR verb, then our ending would be o, with it, which is just O with an accent mark. If our subject is nosotros, nosotras, or nosotres, which is we, then the IR or ER ending is imos, and the AR ending is amos. If our subject is vosotros, vosotras, or vosotres, which is y'all, second person plural pronouns. Vosotros is really only used in Spain, but if you are in Spain and you're using it, then the ending for ER or IR verbs would be estáis, and AR verbs astáis. And last but not least, we have ellos, ellas, and ellas, which all mean they. Also, ustedes is in this category, which means y'all, which is also used anywhere except for Spain. So that is the third person plural and second person plural pronouns. If it's an if it's an ER or IR verb, then the ending should be ieron, I-E-R-O-N. And that would also go for anything that is plural. So if you're talking about the cars or the dogs or any plural objects, then that would be ending ieron. And if it's an AR verb, then that would be aron. So here's our verb endings. We're going to use these over and over again. Let's do some practice. So here's the verb estornudar. Estornudar means to sneeze. It is an AR verb. Over on the left here, we see all of our AR verb endings. So these will be helpful for us. And anytime we want to conjugate a regular AR verb, step one is always to take off that AR. So the AR over here that I have in red, I am getting rid of that. Just pretend that's not there. So all we have is estornud, E-S-T-O-R-N-U-D. That is the stem of the word. It's everything that's left over after I take off the AR. Then I can just change the meaning of the word by changing the ending to any of these endings on the left. And then as long as it met, and then that would show who the subject is. So if I want to say I sneezed, that subject is yo. So I would say yo estornudé by adding our yo ending. I sneezed. If I want to say you sneezed, that would be tú or vos, you estornudaste. That is my aste ending. If I wanted to say he, she, or they sneezed, that would be él, ella, or ella estornudó. This is when I'm only talking about one person. He sneezed, she sneezed, they sneezed. And my ending would be o. I would use the same ending if I'm talking about you formal. Usted estornudó would be you sneezed, someone that I am trying to show more respect for, or maybe someone I don't know. Nosotros form, I would say estornudamos for we sneezed. Here I'm using that amos ending. Vosotros, vosotras, or vosotres estornudasteis. That is my vosotros ending, astais. And last I have ellos, ellas, ellas estornudaron. So that would mean they sneezed. That aron ending comes right from over here. Also, ustedes estornudaron would be y'all sneezed, not in Spain. Vosotros estornudasteis is only in Spain, so ustedes estornudaron would be outside of Spain. So those are the different conjugations of the verb estornudar. So you can do that, those same 6 conjugations for any other regular AR verb in the same way. They'll have these same endings as what we used over here. So let's do some practice. For number 1, I want to say I sneezed in the clinic. In order to do that, I start with the verb estornudar. The subject is I, so that's yo. And our yo ending is a. So what I need to do is get rid of that AR, and I'm going to replace it with a. So that gives me yo estornudé en la clínica. I sneezed in the clinic. Look at number 2. We have the verb llamar. And I'm asking, did you call the ambulance? Now, when I ask that, the action is call. It's in the past because I'm asking, did you call? Did you call it already? Or did you call the ambulance yesterday? And the subject is you. I'm asking, did you call? So I see tú as my subject. And llamar is my verb. I need to get rid of that AR at the end. So all I have is LLAM. And the tú form of llamar it should end in aste. So my answer would be, ¿tú llamaste a la ambulancia? Did you call the ambulance? Look at number 3. Now I have the verb tomar, and I want to say y'all didn't take the medicine. Again, the action here is taking medicine, and it's in the past because I'm saying y'all didn't take it. You did not. And so that's past tense. So ustedes is my subject, so I know I'm going to have to use the ending O with an accent mark from over here. So I first take off my AR ending, and then I need to add then O with an accent mark. So my answer, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. It's ustedes, not usted. I missed the S. So ustedes is over here. It is aron, not O with an accent mark. Just UD is O with an accent mark. Don't make the same mistake I make. Ustedes should be tomaron. The ending is ARON because I'm talking about y'all. If it was just usted, that would be you formal. Don't make the same mistake I made. Look at number 4. El paciente is the patient. I want to say the patient breathed in the medicine from the inhaler. So they breathed. It's a past tense. It's an event that happened. They breathed in medicine from the inhaler, and it's over now. They're not any longer taking their inhaler. So respirar is my verb. I'm taking off that AR, and I'm talking about the subject is el paciente. So that's the patient. So it's probably he or she. I'm only talking about one person. So I would use my el, ella, ending of O with an accent mark. And the answer there would be respiro. Let's look at the next page. Here is some ER and IR endings on the left. And we can see now the example of this word prescribir. Prescribir means to prescribe, like to prescribe medicine. So if we want to see all of the different forms of prescribir, we can see them right here on this page, and we can see all those red endings. So in order to form any of those, the first step is always to take off that IR, get rid of that. And instead of the IR, replace it with these endings from over on the left. So if you want to say I prescribed, yo prescribí, because E is the ending of yo form. You prescribed, if it's informal would be tú or vos as the subject. And the verb would be prescribiste because iste is the ending for tú or vos form in the preterite. If you wanted to say él, ella, ella prescribió, that would mean he prescribed or she prescribed or they prescribed if you're just talking about one person. You could also say usted prescribió, which would mean you prescribed if you're talking to someone in a formal register. Nosotros, nosotras, or nosotros prescribimos would mean we prescribed. That is the imos ending. Vosotros, vosotras, vosotres prescribisteis would be y'all prescribed, only used in Spain. That is the estáis ending. Ellos, ellas, or ellas prescribieron would mean they prescribed. That is our ending right here that is hidden. And ustedes prescribieron also uses that same ending, but that means y'all prescribed. So that's an example of an IR verb that has the ER or IR preterite endings. So let's do a little bit of practice. Here's some examples. Here's that verb again, prescribir. We know by now, hopefully, step one is always take off the IR, ER, or AR. So in this case, it's the IR. I'm imagining that I'm taking off that IR at the end of prescribir. So now all I have is this part, prescrib. And yo form, yo is my subject, so I need my verb to end in I with an accent mark. So that would be prescribí, which means I prescribed the medicine. Yo prescribí la medicina. Number two, if we're asking a question, did you run at the park? It's a past tense question. That word did is our past tense in Spanish, in English. So did you run at the park? The action here is run, correr. And it is in tu form, which means it's going to have to end in iste. And our verb is correr. So I take off that ER. I keep CORR, add my iste. And my answer would be, ¿Tú corriste en el parque? Did you run in the park? Or at the park? Number three, mis amigos no comer en el restaurante. My friends did not eat at the restaurant. Now, the action that did not occur in the past is eating, comer. So I take off that ER. So all I have is COM. And now I have to figure out what ending to add depending on what the subject is. So in this case, the subject is mis amigos, my friends. I'm talking about multiple people. It's plural. So I'm going to have to use this form, the ellos, ellas, ellas form, which is they. My friends are they, right? So that's comieron, COM, and then IERON, comieron. Mis amigos no comieron en el restaurante. My friends did not eat at the restaurant. And last one, number four, we have the subject, el estudiante. So that's the student. The student wrote the essay. Now, if the subject is the student, that means I'm going to use él, ella, or ella form because the student has to be he, she, or they. It's just one person that I'm talking about. It's singular. So I am going to use my I-O with an accent mark ending over there. And my verb, escribir, ends in an IR. So I need to take off the IR and add my I-O accent mark ending. So I have escribió. And that is my ending, my verb. El estudiante escribió el ensayo. The student wrote the essay. All right, so that is some practice with preterite tense. The more you practice, the better you'll do. Watch this video as many times as you need to, and let me know if you have any questions. Adios.